In this video, we're going to demonstrate how you can use a list control on a UX component to display data from Twitter. So basically, Twitter has an API that returns JSON data, and we're going to make calls to the Twitter API to retrieve the JSON data, and then we're going to populate a list control. So let's start out by doing a little demo here and then go behind the scenes and see how this is done. So let's go and get tweets for London. So you can see here that we can go now, we can get the first 10 tweets on London. Now let's go get some more tweets now. So now we've got 20 tweets, go get some more. Now we've got 30 tweets. Now let's go here and get some tweets on say Boston. And now there we have tweets on Boston. So this is a standard list control over here, and you can see there's our standard list control. There's our search box where we specify what we'd like to get the tweets on, and then when we go here and we click the get tweets button, we're making an AJAX callback to an XBasic function here called get tweets, and we're specifying that the mode is get tweets as opposed to, say, this function over here where the mode is get more. So let's go back now and start from scratch and see how this was done. So we'll go now and we'll create a new UX component. So we've got a completely blank UX component over here. Then we'll go down to controls, and then we'll go over here to our defined control section where there are a whole bunch of predefined control examples that you can choose from, and we'll choose the Twitter example. So this is going to basically add a bunch of controls to our screen, and importantly you can see here we've got a list control, but the list control itself is just populated with some static data, and these are some of the property names in the JSON that comes back from Twitter. So we've just chosen 3 of the property names that we'd like to actually display on our list, and then we've chosen a list template to display the data, and we've chosen one of these pre-existing templates over there. So now when we go and we run the component, we can see now, if I go, let's go now to say live preview, and if we were to click this button right now, we're going to get an error because we haven't yet gone and specified what our Twitter keys are. So in order to get the Twitter keys, you have to log into your Twitter account and then register a new application. So you can see over here I've logged into the Alpha Anywhere demo account, and using apps.twitter.com, not the standard twitter.com, and I've gone to this drop down over here, and I've used this to get to the application section, and then I've defined an application called Alpha Anywhere Demo, and if I were to click this API keys, I would get the API key and the secret key that I need to use the application. So once I've got my API key and my secret key, I can go to XBasic Functions, and you'll see here's this Twitter keys function, and I'll just need to fill in the user key and the secret key. So those keys are specific to your user account. So that's information that you don't want to share with other people, which of course is why I'm not showing in this video what my user key and secret key are. So let's go back now to the working example and work through this code. So what I'm going to do now is put in a debug1 statement into my XBasic over here so that I can debug into the code. So let's go here and put in a debug1, and then I'm going to pause and pick this up in the next video. So we're continuing with our video now on using the list control to display data from the Twitter API, and let's go back now to live preview and then click the button to get tweets for London. So we hit we make an AJAX callback, and now here we are inside our get tweets function. So our mode right now is get tweets as opposed to get more tweets, etc. and then we're going to see whether we have something called a bearer token. So right now the bearer token is blank. So bearer token is an OAuth 2 concept, and we're using OAuth 2 now to authenticate Twitter so that we can make API calls against the Twitter API. So currently we don't have the bearer token, so now we need to go and make an OAuth 2 call to get a bearer token. So if you don't understand the concepts of bearer tokens, user keys, secret keys, etc., then reading up on Google on OAuth 2 will be helpful. So let's go now, and in order to get a bearer token, we're going to have to call a Twitter function to get the bearer token, and in order to call that function we need to pass in the user key and user secret, which we obtained when we went to the dev.twitter.com, and in the previous video we showed how you can get your keys. So here we're going to go and get our keys, and now that we have the keys, we can basically make a call to Twitter to get the bearer icon over there. And let's now carry on. So now we have a bearer, the bearer token, and we're going to just store that in session storage so that we don't have to go and get that again. So now that we have the bearer token, we can basically get our URL for the REST API call we're going to make to the Twitter API. So you can see there's our query, London, and we want to go and get 10 rows of data, so 10 tweets. So let's go now, and now we're going to basically call our function called Twitter Client API call. So this is a function in the XBasic library that takes a bearer token and a URL and gets data back from Twitter. So you can see now our JSON value here is a string of data that we have back from Twitter. So we're going to go ahead now and we're going to pass that JSON. So you can see now we have two properties, which is search metadata, which is information about the search that we just did, and then statuses, which is an array of 10 items, which is exactly what we asked for. We asked for 10 tweets, and each one of these array items here has information about a single tweet. So this is what we want to actually feed into our list, this statuses value. So you can see here we basically go here and we look at search metadata, and we store away basically the next results query string and also the refresh query string. So these two values here are going to be used when the user says get more tweets or when the user says refresh. So we're going to store those two values inside the UX components state object. So you can see here we're going to emit some JavaScript there. You can see we're going to emit JavaScript that stores the two query strings in the UX components state object over there. So that means next time when we do an AJAX callback, this data will be available to us because the state information gets sent back and forth on every AJAX callback. But basically what we want is we want to generate JSON data from the statuses array. So we take pd.statuses. PD is defined as p.statuses, and then we generate JSON data from that. So if we were to go now and look at JSON data, what we see is an array of JSON objects, which is exactly what we want to feed into our list control. So let's pause now and pick this up in the next video. So we're continuing now with our video on how to use the list control to display data from the Twitter API. And what we've just done right now is take the data from the Twitter response, pass the JSON, and then generated a new JSON object that is just the array of the tweets. So we've pulled out the information that we care about. And if we go here and say copy value and then go over to TextPad over here and paste in the data, we can see what we have is an array, and the array is going to have 10 objects, then at 1 object for each tweet that we fetched, and there's a lot of data that you get back from Twitter. We only care about a very small subset of this data, which is what we're going to display in our list control. So you can see here's the created at, which is one of the properties that we want to display, and there's other information like the user profile URL, etc. So let's carry on now debugging through this. So you can see now we're going to basically go and generate the JavaScript that populates the list. So our list control is called list1. So the JavaScript that we want to generate is going to get a pointer. So this is the JavaScript to get a pointer to list1. And then you can see here that we've put into this JavaScript variable underbar D the actual data which we got from the Twitter response. This is the data that we'd like to populate the list with. So at this point, JS populate looks like this. It's basically get a pointer to the list control and then populate the list control with underbar D, which is the data that we got back from Twitter, and then basically we send our JavaScript response back to the client by just simply setting the XBasic function name to the JavaScript response. So when we go ahead and hit run now, let's just ignore that because we've timed out. So let's just go back here and run this again without taking too long about it. So go back to live preview and again hit get tweets, and this time I'll just quickly run through the whole script, and you can see there it is. So there are the tweets that we wanted to get. Now if I go here and say get more, we again call into our XBasic function, but this time the mode that we are in is no longer get tweets, but we need to go and hit get more. Let's do this again and go here and say get more. So now the mode that we're in is get more mode, which means that we're still going to do everything very similar to what we did before, excepting that since we're now in get more mode, we remember previously we stored inside the UX's state object the query string to go and get more tweets. So this is the query string that we want to use to go get more tweets on London. So we're going to go and take our URL there and add in the appropriate query string there to go get additional tweets over there. So there's the additional tweets that we want, and now we basically call the Twitter API function, get some new JSON back, but this time after we've generated the JSON data, instead of doing a populate, we're going to do an append rows. So you can see now that we're going to append this data to the existing data in the list, and then we're going to set focus to the first new row. So you can see that we need to set focus to basically row number 20. So this is actually the 21st row in the list because the list is a zero-based the indexes are zero-based in the list. So e.underbar_list data got sent back as part of our AJAX callback. So let's go take a look now at how this got populated in the first place. So let's go back now to design mode, and if we go now to controls and we look at the get more button, we can see that the get more button is slightly different than the original get tweets button, because not only do we send back as part of our AJAX callback underbar mode equals get more, but we also call this function over here. So let's pause now and pick this up in the next video to see what's going on with this function. So we're continuing with our look at the UX component that is displaying tweets from the Twitter API. And you can see now when we make our AJAX callback to get more tweets, we're also going to execute this JavaScript function here and get the result of that and add it to the additional data that gets sent back by this AJAX callback. So you can see this is the additional data here that gets sent back. So let's go take a look now at our JavaScript functions, and you can see that get list length simply gets a pointer to the list control, and then basically gets a count of the number of rows of data that are in the list. So if the list currently has 10 rows, then we're going to send underbar list count equals 10 will be part of the AJAX callback that is made, and then knowing that information, the JavaScript response that we send back to the client to add the new rows can also then set focus to the appropriate row, so that focus is on the new rows that are fetched after we've gone back to the server to get the data. So what we've shown in this video is how the list control can be populated with JavaScript that is retrieved by making a call to the Twitter API. The calls to the Twitter API themselves are first authenticated using the Twitter OAuth 2 functionality, and we use two XBasic functions. First, a built-in XBasic function called getBearerToken, which takes your user key and user secret, which you obtain from your Twitter account, to get something called a bearer token, and the bearer token can then be used throughout your session to make calls to the Twitter API. So we use this function, the Twitter getBearerToken function, and then we also use the Twitter _client API function, which is also another built-in function in the XBasic library that allows you to make calls to the Twitter API and get JSON data back in response to the REST calls that you make. So there's quite a lot going on in this example, but it does demonstrate how easily you can consume JSON data from the Twitter API and then display that data in a list control on a UX component. Thanks very much for watching.